NFTs are all the rage right now. But what are they? NFT stands for non-fungible token, meaning non-interchangeable or replaceable, and they're a one-of-a-kind digital object being marketed as the collectibles of the future that are stored on a blockchain, like Ethereum or Solana, for example. Blockchain is the storing of data across a peer-to-peer network where computers validate transactions on a digital ledger. Each block holds the transaction details and is linked to the previous block, forming a chain which confirms the integrity. This technology allows for decentralized finance. Web3 is when blockchain technology is incorporated into the internet, using a peer-to-peer network to store data, rather than our data being stored on a server controlled by internet service providers, which then the data can be used against us, like we saw with the Facebook Cambridge Analytica data weaponization. NFTs are very fungible, particularly the art NFT space, which is what we'll be focusing on in this video, like CryptoPunks, for example. It's ironic how one of the first popular NFT collections uses a blocky bit-style art which can be easily replicated. The more simple the art style, the easier it will be to recreate. All it takes is for someone to save the image, maybe make a few edits like slightly changing the shade of the colors, and then the art can be minted as its own unique NFT. This has already been happening when, last month, Twitter enabled NFT profile pictures, but they didn't restrict non-verified NFT collections. So there are scams that are very prevalent in the NFT space. And people are going to have to get used to the fact that this new space is a minefield of scams and unregulation. When doing the research for this video, I discovered a website, web3isgoinggreat.com, that has a pretty exhaustive list that includes dates and dollar amounts of the many scams and fraud that has happened so far. If I were a con man, I would be in the NFT, Web3, and crypto space. Assume that any new project will be a rug pull unless you know for sure that there are conditions that exist that prevent such things. Anytime there is something new, it must iron out the errors until it can have widespread adoption. My problem with NFTs is a similar problem I have with the art market. Value is derived from hype and not necessarily related to how good the art actually looks to the majority of people, or the difficulty to create it. A small minority of NFT creators determine that a project like Bored Ape Yacht Club has value, and the average person jumps in, buying, hoping to make a profit. It seems to me that art in the real world, like a Leonardo da Vinci piece, for example, has a lot of value because of the painstaking attention to detail and the amount of skill it takes to create these pieces. But with NFTs, being simple art styles that are literally produced by the thousands, it's exactly the opposite. If NFTs do see widespread adoption, the shift from real physical art would remind me of how artisans were replaced with factories and mass production. It's unfortunate because as a small-time investor in crypto myself, the many scams will ruin or spoil some people's belief or enthusiasm for cryptocurrency in general, opting to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I respect crypto for being a decentralized currency that is not subject to government manipulation or inflation, and not all of it is a scam. As someone who's no stranger to multi-level marketing and pyramid schemes, I can clearly see that many of the NFT projects, as well as cryptocurrency, have a very similar feeling to those. However, not every crypto is created equal, so investors should be wary of influencers promoting them on social media, and you should do extra thorough research on every project's development team and their plans. How will NFTs affect the economy? Because a great number of people who are buying NFTs are in it for flipping more so than personal collecting, NFTs are what's called a speculative asset. Speculative bubbles throughout history will burst or crash and cause a period of economic depression. The economy goes through boom and bust cycles. The boom is when there is high liquidity or plenty of capital that is ready to be used. The bust is when there is low liquidity and people will sell off assets when they realize the value is not as great as they thought. When doing research on NFTs and coming to the realization that they are speculative assets, I found an example of these in the tulip bubble of the 1600s. Tulips were not native to Europe, but they first appeared there via the spice trading route as a luxury that the affluent could afford, and they served as the new conspicuous consumption item. People wanted to emulate their rich neighbors and jumped on the tulip bandwagon. The market eventually crashed when people couldn't pay the high prices for tulips. And I believe the NFTs are the tulips of today. Will they be successful in the future? I saw someone post a tweet that I can't find, so I'll paraphrase, but they said they're interested to see whether NFTs die out rapidly or over a long, slow period, implying that they will inevitably be no more. While I am a skeptic, I'm not so sure that the demise of NFTs is inevitable. It's still very early to say, but one thing that's for sure is that if people's confidence in NFTs can last this early part, which is arguably the most scam-ridden part, and if more trusted projects emerge that have more transparent methods as well as regulations, then it could still be a thing. I do think that these early scams and mistrust will cause a huge decline in adoption before changes could eventually cause a resurgence, if at all. But you can't talk about NFTs without talking about the metaverse and the plan for them to be adopted there. As far as the future of NFTs, I think the metaverse will have a small minority of people with legit NFTs, but the loopholes that allow for replicas that are barely distinguishable from the original will cause fakes to be prevalent. Just like the people that bought tulips to appear wealthy, the clout will drive people to replicate the most coveted NFTs. How do NFTs affect the climate? I do think that it is unfortunate that adoption of blockchain technology has come before the legislation banning the use of fossil fuels. Even though studies have shown that crypto miners are large adopters of renewable energy, adding in NFTs and Web3 is adding more fuel to the fire as far as energy use, and it's happening very rapidly. This study from the University of Cambridge states that 76% of miners use renewable energies as part of their mix, and that 39% of mining's total energy consumption comes from renewables. Now, these numbers are a lot better than many other industries when it comes to energy use. Green energy initiatives and legislation should not be happening at a slower pace than NFTs if we seriously value our planet and the existence of humanity on Earth. While some people probably think that it kind of sucks to be so critical of this emerging industry's energy use, as opposed to the energy use of other already established industries, we have to be, because we are at such a critical time where we have to take a step back and prioritize sustainability. In this article I found by Mimo Acton, he conducted research into the ecological cost of NFTs through the website cryptoart.wtf. To sum up some of his findings, the average NFT footprint was around 340 kilowatt hours and 211 kg CO2. This includes the whole process from minting to bidding to the sale and transfer of ownership, but this is for a single NFT. And this is equivalent to driving 1,000 kilometers or 621 miles, or it's equivalent to an EU resident's electricity consumption for about a month. Acton analyzed over around 80,000 transactions relating to 18,000 NFTs on the crypto art NFT market site, Super Rare. When you scale these numbers, the results are pretty horrific, and I'll end with a quote from Web3 is going great. We really are just pouring lighter fluid on our already smoldering planet. But that's all I've got for this video. Thanks for listening. Peace.
We're part of the same. We're part of the same community. We're both apes.
I love it.
This is my ape.
It's yours. Yours is so cool. I love the red heart sunglasses. I love the.
This is big. I think people are gonna love this.
Well, if you love it so much, I actually am going to give you the first one.
I would be honored.
And I want to give one to everyone in the audience.
Everyone gets an NFT?
Yes, everyone.
Everyone gets an NFT? Parrot? Come on.